Evening, everyone. My name is Mike Phibben, and I had the honor of being asked by the family to listen. On behalf of the family, I want to extend a thank you to everyone gathered here to celebrate Mike. There is a reason why Friday night was chosen to celebrate Mike's life. Mike loved the Friday night. Since Mike gave up shift life and took a normal schedule, Friday nights became sacred. Friday nights became a reason. Friday nights became a tradition. Friday nights were a guarantee. He would gather with the people he loved the most to eat, drink, laugh, and have fun. Every week, without fail. Thank you all for joining us for one final Friday night. Now Mike's kids, Kelsey, Bracken, Haley, and Jackson, share a few words.
Kelsey, Mike's oldest daughter. When figuring out what I was going to say tonight, I could have filled pages and pages of stories, lessons, and the life we lived with our dad. But I have 22 years of those, so I wrote a letter to him. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. Dad, 8,397 days, 201,598 hours. That's how long I had with you. You were my best friend, the person I called for anything, good and bad. When we needed help, when anyone needed help, you were there as fast as you could be. You were the best Bambi, the best nap partner, the person the kids knew would give them a laugh or endless snuggles. The girls loved you more than anything. You were their Bambi. We were the lucky ones because you chose us. You chose to be our dad, and I'm so glad we got to choose you to be ours. When we were looking through photos of you, it was hard to find one of you alone. Because every single one had Mom in it. Your love is one of a kind. It's one for the record books. Growing up, I always said that was the type of love that I wanted. And luckily I found that. And Dad, I'm so glad you loved him. You were my biggest cheerleader, even when things came with the hardest challenges and the toughest lessons. You were always there, telling me I could achieve anything, that you believed in me, and that you were proud of me. I truly believe you will still find ways to let us know you're still here. I don't know how I'm supposed to say goodbye to you, but I promise, Dad, don't worry about Mom. We've got her. Because we are the fucking dangerous. I love you. See you later, alligator.
People say, never meet your heroes, but I lived with mine. We got mad at each other, and we made up 20 minutes later. Like that, we were best friends all over again. He was there when I made dumb decisions, and he helped me through them. He was there when I achieved something huge, and he was always my #1 support. I remember working away from home, doing straight night shifts 12 hours away. Without missing a beat, he'd call me at 3 a.m. to work. We talk about what was going on at home, and it made life a little easier. It made me feel like I was still there. I never got to meet my grandfather, Arthur Phibben, but I knew everything about him. And that'll be my turn when I have kids. To tell them about my dad, how stubborn he was, and how he'd give his shirt off his back to help a random person. Someone told me the other day that you died twice. The first time is when your soul leaves your body, and the second time when people stop telling your story. And I know my dad will live forever in memories. My dad was the first person to ever hold me, and I was the last person to ever hold him.
There are so many things to be said about my dad. He was funny, good with wit, always the best source to lift spirits. He was stubborn, hard-headed, always right, and the first person to call you on your bullshit when necessary. But at the same time, even if it wasn't the move you'd make, even if he didn't fully see the big picture, he was the first person to cheer you on, the best person to share things with, the biggest supporter in every chapter of your life. Lots of people would say his tone was rough, that he could be harsh, and maybe not the most sensitive at times. But I never felt that. To me, he always spoke softly. Even now at 25, I was the same princess he made me feel like a 5. He was so sensitive to me, honest, kind, my number one fan in everything I went for. There was never a moment in my life where I felt like I couldn't tell him something. In our family, we're all horrible secret keepers, especially him. Whether it was gossip from one sibling about another, or a surprise he was supposed to keep quiet, we were all sharing, giggling, and telling secrets that weren't really secrets. He was possibly the easiest person in the world to convince to do something you weren't supposed to be doing, or as our family would refer to it, something mom would say no to. For example, every Christmas, he would always let us open a few presents early while our mom wasn't looking. This became a tradition nearly every Christmas for as long as I can remember. Even this past Christmas, I had him convinced to do presents early. And he was always more excited than the rest of us. It's something really special to know that he chose me to be his daughter. From my very first memories, he was already dad. I can't remember a life where he wasn't. From him building the literal walls, bedrooms, garages, tree houses, and then as adults a pub. He built magic in every home we lived in. For as long as I can remember, he would say, "You're just a girl, you can't do it." And then he'd stand back, smiling, cheering me on while I did exactly what he pretended I couldn't. He always knew I could do anything. He supported every adventure, every dream, every goal. I can remember him letting me drive his truck when I was 6. Sitting on his lap, handle the wheel like I own the world. I can remember how scary moments like those felt, the first in life that I experienced with him by my side, how scared I was, and his confidence in me made it all feel less scary. He always threw us right into the world with such confidence, and yet such reality. "You've got this, it might be hard, but we're not quitters. We're a winning family, don't you forget it." And cheering me on at home karaoke and dance performances when I was a little girl. At my high school graduation, when he made sure his tie matched my dress so I could again feel like the princess I was when I was a little girl. He was always there for every moment. Always his sweetheart, always his little girl. When I moved away 7 years ago, my old truck packed. Not really a plan, but he never let me doubt myself because he never doubted me. He always made me feel strong and seen. My dad taught me that family isn't just who you're born into, it's who shows up. He taught me that love is built in everyday things. Building rooms, matching ties, letting a little girl steer a big truck. He taught me strength by believing I already had it. He taught me confidence by pretending to doubt me just so I could prove him wrong. He taught me loyalty, honesty, humor, and resilience. Most of all, he taught me what it feels like to be loved unconditionally, to be someone's daughter in every way that matters. I will carry his voice with me for the rest of in my life. The teasing, the cheering, the soft way he spoke to me when no one was around. I will carry his lessons, his stubbornness, his humor, and his heart. And I will carry the gift he gave me every single day. The certainty that I was loved and that I was his.
I wrote a speech for tonight, but I'm going to read his first. If you ever drank with him, if you ever want to make you laugh, this is what he would say. Been around the world twice, talked to everybody once. Seen 2 whales fuck, been to 3 world fairs. And I'm an old man in Thailand with a wooden cock. Push more Peter, more sweeter, more completer than any other Peter pusher around. I'm a hard-bodied, hairy-chested, root-tootin', shooting, parachuting, demolition, double, cap, cramping frogman. There ain't nothing I can't do, no sky, no high, no sea too rough, no muff too tough. Been a lot of lessons in my life. Never shoot a large caliber man with a small caliber bullet. Drove all kinds of trucks, 2x, 4x, and those big motherfuckers that go and bend in the middle. Anything in life worth overdoing? Anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for cowards. I'm a lover, I'm a fighter. I'm a UTD secret haul truck driver.
True story.
I'll wine, dine, intertwine. I'll sneak out the back door when your refueling is done. So if you're feeling froggy, then you better know I'm jumping because this frogman's been there, done that, and it's coming back for more. Cheers, pal. I could never do it as well as him, but try my best. I never understood death until now. I was the man who taught me how to ride a bike, hold the drill, taught me how to be a good husband and to love my mom always. Isn't here anymore. I still don't fully grasp it, but I know his story doesn't end here. He may not be here to give us another lesson, but with the lessons he did give, his memory will never die. He lives for me, Haley, Brecken, and Kelsey, and most importantly, he lives for my mom. My dad was the king of lessons. I'd like to think that I got the most of them. I always had to learn everything the hard way. Whether it was driving on the back of a phaser or one of the mini sleds I destroyed over the years, he was always there to tell me what I did wrong and how to improve. At the end of the day, he wanted me better than I was the day before. I can still hear him in the back of my head telling me to pull my head out of my ass and try again. One of my dad's favorite things in life was riding a sled. One memory I will always have with me is this time we were in Kalina Creek. He was about to do a pull, and then his sled came to a complete stop, and the spark plugs popped right out. And about 20 seconds later, the mountain gave out right in front of him. He looks at us and he goes, "My dad was watching over me there." And I just know in my heart that he will be watching over us the way his dad was watching over him there. The most important thing my dad taught me was how to be a good dad. And not by telling me, but showing me. I remember calling him and telling him that Phoenix was pregnant, and he said, "You're going to be a great dad, pal." And I said, "Well, I learned from the best." And that I truly did. When we found out we were having a boy, I knew one thing for sure. I was going to name him after him. Soon after, Hendrix Michael Phibben was born. Hendrix only got a few years with his family, but I'm sure he'll have lots to tell his brother about. My second son was born 5 days after my dad passed. He was 3 days late coming into this world, but I'd like to think that he spent a few extra days with his family before entering this world. I could go on and on with memories about my dad. I could write a book. But I'll leave you with this. First one in, last one out. And from the great words of Hendrix Michael Phibben, peace and love, Bambi. I love you, Dad.
Okay. At this time, boys have a few words to say. Steve and Dustin.
It's hard to sum up the relationship I had with Mike in a few sentences. I've known him for around 15 years, which might not sound like a long time, but with Mike, that's practically a lifetime. He wasn't a small impact kind of man. If you haven't heard it already tonight, you probably will before the night's over, and I'm pretty sure Jack actually said it in his Mike speech. Anything worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And when it comes to friendship, he was no different. One of the most interesting things over these past few weeks has been hearing everyone talk about Mike. It seems that every person had a little bit of a different relationship with him. Some relationships were filled with adventure, some were built around similar interests. To many, he was a mentor, a role model, and a guide. He was all those things to me as well. But while typing this out, I kept struggling with how to define, in some elegant way, what Mike's friendship was to me. And then it hit me. It wasn't eloquent. It was simple, and it was pure. Mike was my friend. I could tell you endless stories of travel, adventure, ridiculous situations we found ourselves in over the years. But lately, I've been reflecting on simple moments, the real ones that show who he was. Helping him build a pub, Messy Minor. Probably the only pub or only building in the world that used 2x6 as roof sheeting. Or building his nuclear bomb-proof deck. Because, like I said, Mike said, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Or the time he called to help me pull one of his kids out who got stuck in a water hole on Tower Road. But the memory that brings back the most joy might surprise you. It was an ordinary night when I got a call that he was struggling with plumbing in his bathroom and he needed a hand, figured it out. It was around 8 o'clock. I was already in bed, don't judge. But when Mike called, I got up, got dressed, grabbed my tools, and headed over. It might seem like a small thing, but it meant the world to me. Mike was always the one helping everyone else. Tonight, as you walk around, you'll hear lots of stories. You'll hear about how he helped people with their lives, with their careers, with their problems, anything. So for me, being on the other end of the phone, being the person he called for help, was an honor. It was a privilege. Our friendship wasn't just built on adventures and projects. It was built on life. Just two guys trying to go through our day-to-day and talking to each other to get through it. He always had my back, sometimes to a fault. He guided me through some of the hardest situations of my life with grace, patience, and when I needed a well-placed kick in the ass. It seems like Mike lived 100 lives and learned 1,000 lessons the hard way. And somehow he found a way to pass those lessons on to everyone lucky enough to know him. It's not going to be the same without you, pal. But thank you for your help, for your wisdom, for your laughter, and for your friendship. Thank you for everything you gave me.
I think if I would have went first, I would have been able to get through this easy. You guys are terrible. This isn't short, so buckle up. Anything worth doing? Oh, there's a theme to my speech here. Mike Phibben from an empty glass to a full cup. Where to start? There isn't enough time in the day, tomorrow, or even a month to explain Mike in a few words on a piece of paper. So I'm going to ramble on with purpose. I'm going to hit a few truths that might make you laugh. And I'm going to try and help all of us understand the impact that he had on me and everyone else. A couple of days ago, I was talking with Amanda about why this is so heavy and why full-grown men and women were struggling to keep their shit together, just saying Mike's name or seeing a photo of him, knowing that he's gone, even though we've all faced loss before. This one hit like a sack of bricks, and after sitting with it, this is what I know. Today, we don't just mourn the loss of Mike Phibben. For some of us, we mourn the loss of a mentor. For others, we mourn the loss of a best friend. And for the kids, the loss of an unbelievable father. And some will mourn all three at once. And one of us will mourn the loss of a husband. Back to the theme, the empty glass. When I first met Mike, I was just a kid. Atkinson and Steve put it perfectly the other day. When I met Mike, my glass was empty. I had all the energy and optimism in the world, but I needed direction. Mike took me under his wing with the explicit intent, and these are his words and not mine, to stop me from being such a douchebag. I wouldn't say he failed. Anyways.
Jury's out.
Being mentored by Mike was not about talking. It was about listening, swallowing your pride, shutting up. And if you could do that, he would give you his everything. I didn't know much about mining when I met Mike, but listening gave me the foundation I needed. I wanted to be like Mike. I wanted to know what he knew, and most of all, I wanted people to trust me the way that they trusted him. And nearly all of my success and best experiences at work trace back to our time together. Mike had this way of seeing the good in people, the potential and the initiative. And he had the ability to turn it into gold. And like some of us, if you have the privilege, Mike as a mentor, you also ended up with a friend, a best friend. The wing coverage didn't just end at St. Cruz Gate, it spilled into our days off. I started showing up in Mike's house to hang out, ignoring all social boundaries and claiming a spot at the family table. You know, if you showed up at 4:30 or 5, you'd end up accidentally having the best dinner a guy could ask for. And they must not have minded because I never felt out of place. I always felt welcome. And I'm still here. Back then I spent a good chunk of my time off at Mike's place. Fixing things, having a few drinks, watching sled videos, and getting to know the rest of the family. And somewhere in there, I earned a spot in the truck on the way to the mountains. We talked about sledding at home, at work, and everywhere else until he convinced me to just go. Then, I did what any good friend under Mike's influence would do. I bought a new truck, a new sled deck, full sled gear, my undershirts, my underwear. But he's not a cheap friend. It's pretty expensive. We traveled 10 to 14 hours each way in the truck, back and forth to Belmont, 3 or 4 trips per winter. And somewhere along the roads, it was a very easy transition from a guy who mentored me at work to the best friend I laughed with and tackled the world with. Mike's love for the mountains was contagious. It instantly became my favorite thing to do with him for years. During that time, I had the privilege to take mentorship, to take shit, and to share his passion until it became my own. and the relationships I built with his boys in the mountains, summer and winter, I get to carry that forever. I just want a quick reference of Mike's love and friendship for those who don't know. So Mike looked up a really steep hill while we were riding in Belmont. He pointed up the big hill. He said, "You won't do it." I can hear him saying it while smiling and laughing at me, and you guys know his little greasy laugh. So needless to say, I headed up the hill, and of course I got stuck in a really shitty spot. He wasn't going to send Jack up, because as you know, he can't fucking see. So. Because the goalie. So he headed up himself to help me dig the sled out. It was a bad angle. It was a pretty sketchy location, but on his way up he said to me, well, he screamed at me, "You're an idiot, but I love you. I'm coming to get you." I was mad that he headed up there because I didn't want to put him in a bad spot or in danger. But I'd probably still be up there digging if he didn't walk through 4 feet of snow, uphill, 100 meters to help my sorry ass. For those of you who know, I blame Articat. Wasn't a good sled. Told you it was long. The unbelievable father. To be a father like Mike was to be unbelievable. To be a father, Mike was, to be unbelievable. He had to be a lot of things at the same time. And spending years with him let me see the depth of his love for his friends, for his kids, and for Amanda. It was like looking at a rubric for how to be successful at home the way that he was at work. He showed me how to treat my children. That's loaded. All references are not verbally PG for this speech. For most, the way that he spoke to his children, his daughters, your jaw would hit the floor. The way he'd speak to Haley about her dating or school or going out, we'd all end up with hysterics, including her. And all I could do was laugh and literally take notes. You can say that. You can say that. Like, you can say that. Wow. We're swearing. But man, did it work. He would always stay so close. He would stay close enough to know what was going on with them, what they needed, and how to help. And even though he could be so hard on you, you trusted him so much that you told him everything anyway. I watched him take his friends at work and sit them down and explain the birds and the bees. In full grown-up terms, that means where you were screwing up, how bad you were screwing up, and a couple pointers on how to fix it. I've had a few of those conversations with Mike, maybe more than a few. I've watched his kids have those conversations. I've watched our close friendship group have them. And he didn't have to. He didn't have to do this, he chose to. And for those who are lucky enough, he chose to listen. Hang on with me, I'm almost done. A lesson in the mountains that will stick out with me forever. There came a moment in the mountains that I'll carry for the rest of my life. We were talking about a young cousin of mine. Loud, obnoxious, ignorant, young, maybe even a bit of a douchebag. I was trying to show him a better way, to just shut up and listen. We're all sledding together. With Mike. Mike looked at me and he said, "Dust, you don't have to deal with him. You're not his father." I looked him dead in the face. "Mikey, you weren't my father. But he needs this." I shut him up pretty fast. And the silence said everything that it needed to. The wipers on, I can see. The joy we shared, the full cup. Like I said before, there isn't enough paper to list it all, but it's got to be said. Garth Brooks' songs and karaoke, his Man of Constant Sorrow duets with Atkinson, Steve, and I. More beers than anyone should drink at one time. Legendary pub openers and backyard parties at the Phibbens. Friday nights that went completely off the rails. A whole lot of love that we shared, and always sled videos, tools out, renovations on the go, new living room furniture every 20 minutes, and absolutely contagious laughter. Back to why this hurts, why we're mourning. This hurts because we're not just saying goodbye to Mike, we're saying goodbye to a mentor who filled an empty glass, a best friend who made the trips worthwhile, unbelievable father who set the standard at home and everywhere else. And one of us is saying goodbye to a husband that was second to none. One last quick joke. Permission to be me. Mike taught me that it was okay to be me. It was okay because we both finally found someone else whose friends and family had to warn other people about if we were taken into public or an event. And that was comforting. I promise to fill someone else's cup. I think I'm at the point where I can start to get back, be part of the empty class he filled with friendship, fatherhood, and mentorship. My goal in life is to give others what he gave me, to have the capacity to fill someone else's cup, to be the mentor, to be a best friend, to be an unbelievable father, and to be a husband who's second to none. For the family, my heart goes out to Amanda, Kraken, Jackson, Haley, Kelsey. I'll do my best to be there for you the way that you and Mike were for me. I know they're big shoes to fill. Mike, you didn't just teach me how to live, you showed me who to be. From an empty glass to a full cup. You gave us your everything. We loved you for it. And we'll honor you by living it.
Boys aren't going anywhere. Yeah. What do you guys just said? I didn't grow up with Mike. I didn't meet him sledding. I never went sledding with Mike. I didn't meet him at work. I met Mike in the most generic possible way. My wife was best friends with his wife. And other than the fact that we both worked for Sinkers, and we both clearly married well above our league, we had almost nothing in common. And to make it worse, he wore an off-putting amount of orange. Despite this, over the last 12 years, Mike went from my wife's best friend's husband to my best friend. And when you become friends with a Phibben, you partly become a Phibben. And you get the rest of the family as part of the package, which is a big part of what makes that friendship so fucking special. As for when Mike and I became such good friends, I don't know exactly when it happened, but I guess you never really do. But I suspect it happened sometime on a tee box or a green. Maybe it was over a skip the dishes dinner from Earl's on a Saturday night playing Catan on Woodward Lane. It could have been between rounds of beer on a Friday night, followed swiftly by 1 a.m. karaoke performances at Bailey's. Maybe it happened on the cable car ride to see the Matterhorn, which, despite the best effort money could buy, we did not see the Matterhorn. Maybe it was a scooter ride after a dip in a glacier-fed river. But I do think that our friendship may have been solidified over group texts where we all unanimously agreed that Checo was a far better teammate than Yuki. I guess it doesn't matter when it happened, just that it did. And that as much as Mike meant to me, he meant even more to Kristen. My biggest regret was waiting too long to jump into the world that Mike loved so much, F1. Just this year, we finally started to love what he spent his life loving. We picked our teams. Well, someone's still sitting on the fence. We picked our drivers, and for the last 4 races of the year, we've all watched together. We were so excited for the 2026 season to watch races with, to maybe even take a trip to see a Grand Prix live. But we can't dwell on what we didn't do, or what we did too late. Now we can just celebrate the memories Mike gave us and the things he taught us. I learned a lot from Mike, but these 3 things stand out the most. Cherish and protect your wife and family. Never delay happiness. Enjoy life now. Don't wait 1 second longer than you have to create memories. And if you're able, help anyone who needs help. Also, if it's on sale, it's probably shit. Pay full price for everything. If you have a glass, cheers to Mike.
We fucking love you boys.
That was awesome.